Sensational for Cincinnati. Mitch Hildebrand, the hero, and the underdogs have prevailed once again.
I would like to present the USL regular season championship to FC Cincinnati. Congratulations to the players, the staff, and most importantly, the fans on a record-breaking season. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for your regular season champions, FC Cincinnati.
In a foot race, Cincinnati plays this across. Vasquez with the finish. Brandon Vasquez gives Cincinnati the 2-1 lead. A late breakdown by Red Bull.
Well, Dylan Nealis gets beaten, and nobody covers the streaking run. Unbelievable.
Barreal got under that. Oh! What a goal for FC Cincinnati! You couldn't dream that any better. Goal of the tournament. Maybe the history of the tournament. Alvaro Barreal makes it 2-0.
Acosta beats one man one-on-one and another. This is still Lucho Acosta continuing on. Acosta! Oh my goodness! A play worthy of a perfect 10 by Cincinnati's number 10.
Unbelievable. He's like a kid in a playground. He just picked the ball up and said, okay, you know what? I'm going to pick it up at the halfway line and I'm going to go all the way on my own. And you're thinking to yourself, release the ball now, release the ball now. He decides, no, I'm not having that. I'm going to have the goal instead. And the season as well.
Valerian looks to deliver, flick towards the far post, and it's off the line! What a save! That's a match-winning save.
He thinks that he's found the equalizer yet again, but Celentano just stays big and makes a massive, massive save.
They have done it. Cincinnati, your 2023 supporters.
The Flying Lion says,
boys, hell is real.
2023 Supporter Shield champs.
So glad that I can be back with people who know that it's a Flying Lion.
It shows how much we all love this club.
Yeah, just a fan of the sport, you know.
It's definitely tougher to be an academy player than it is a pro.
In this club, you don't play just for the club, you play for the ball.
Swap, card of the week, trivia question of the week.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Flying Lion podcast, another off-season edition, chatting all things FC Cincinnati roster tonight. We're also going to hit a couple of the draws that happened with the CONCACAF Champions Cup draw that just happened last night. We'll touch a little bit on the U.S. men's national team. If you guys aren't watching, I'm rocking my USA cap tonight as well. Second part of the episode, we'll get into that, some FC Cincinnati 2 roster news. And our next pro teams that are actively in the next pro fest that's going on right now as well. But how are we doing tonight, Sam?
Yeah, doing good. Ryan, I mean, it's the off season, so you know we're expecting some news. It slowly but surely you're getting one every 3 or 4 days, which hopefully as we get into the next couple of weeks we start to see some Tom Bogert news, some Laurel Pfahler news, just some of the inklings from some of our reporters. That'd be nice, right? But before we get going here, Ryan, I want to remind everybody this is the last chance today actually to get our limited edition Flying Lion shirts as we're live right now, December 10th, last day. So go check out chatterboxsports.com/store. Every dollar, once again, goes straight to us. And if you use the code DOUBLE in all caps, you can get 2 shirts for $40. Like I said, the sale ends today, so go grab yours while you can. And we would absolutely love to see the orange and blue shirts all over TQL Stadium this season, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be a dream just to see some of those around the stadium. And for all you guys that listen to us, we appreciate it. So go check those out. Hopefully we'll be getting into some jersey news as well. I've been seeing a lot of leaks around the MLS. So it would be nice for once around the holidays, be able to pick up a jersey, in addition to our shirts that we have rolling out, like Sam said. So we'll roll into some roster news that came out over the past week. Again, this is just a continuous week by week thing where we'll see what comes out. Like Sam said, we every few days have been getting some news. This one just being last Tuesday, I believe. Lukas Engel, unfortunately, is not going to be returning to FC Cincinnati. It was one of the players that I think Sam and I had thought, hey, this guy appeared, 41 different times for the club. He had 6 assists. Like, maybe this might be a guy that we'd look to bring back. But at the end of the day, the loan with the purchase to buy, maybe that buy option was a little bit too high. And maybe he didn't have really a home in terms of a position. Was it center back? Was it left wing back? He provided great flexibility for the club, but maybe that buy option might be a little bit too high for us and some of the roster limitations we have right now. But Sam, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, initially, Ryan, I mean, you saw reports come out that it was kind of increasingly unlikely that he would sign a long-term deal, and those reports were coming out of Middlesbrough itself. So weren't really hearing anything on the FC Cincinnati side, but once again, felt kind of unlikely considering, it had been lingering a little bit, right? And you want to get those done, as soon as the season is over. But yeah, like you had said, he provided great flexibility. It's just, I think a lot of the talk that we saw when this was announced from FC Cincinnati fans was the fact that he didn't really have a pure spot on the team, right? Sure. Pat likes to play the left wing backs rather than a pure left back, and that's what he's a pure left back, and he just happened to be one of our best center backs because we were kind of riddled with injury there. And so, I mean, I think you and I saw him as a possible, main as a center back there. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's going to, or isn't going to work under Pat's system. And I think that was a lot of the talk that was coming from, the FC Cincinnati fans as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's 26, Sam. He's got a lot of soccer ahead of him. That's the thing for me that is tough to kind of swallow. Like, I would have loved to see this player, thrive in this team for years to come. Like, his quote at the end of the year, "Dying with his boots on," is the motto for, all the guys that we should have. And he was very well liked, around the club, around the fan base as well. So hate to see those guys go. But if we look at it, Sam, he, potentially by next year, 2026, we could have the 5th different left wing back in the past 5 seasons now, if we look at it. So 2022, Ronald Matarrita, 2023, Alvaro Barreal, that he made it his own. I mean, he was arguably best 11 there. Luka Orellano, primarily brought in to be left wing back, was moved around, played a little bit of striker, a little bit of right wing back, a little bit of everywhere. And then same thing with Engel last year, was brought in to be our out and out left wing back, played more center back at times and was better there. So now we're looking again, Sam, at a revolving door situation at left wing back. Do we continue with that? Is that, an area that we want to say, hey, let's look and see if this guy now can stick and stay there? Or are we going to, find another loan for another year for this player? It just doesn't seem to be consistent. Now, one thing I wanted to bring up with that is the fact that none of these left wing backs have had consistent center backs next to them. So I think that plays into it in some ways as well. But yeah, each situation a little bit different there. Just something interesting that, now looking back on the past several seasons, like, wow, we've really had completely different guys there over the past years.
Oh yeah, and I mean, you look at the first two with Matarrita and Barreal, we signed those guys out and out. The last 2 seasons, it's been Orellano, who's a loan, and we purchased it, and Engel, who is a loan, and we didn't end up purchasing it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it's going to be a permanent deal if we bring somebody in or a loan in.
Do you think it's a tough position to bring in? I think, left and right wing backs, the wing back position, let's just say, is becoming more popular, based on tactics around the world. But finding that right person that can, go up high and be that really out and out attacker, but also be able to get back, I think that's difficult to find, Sam.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's a tough position to play, like you said, especially now that the position's evolving and you're seeing more people wanting your wingbacks to fly up the side and make those runs around, either the strikers or the other midfielders. So yeah, obviously it's going to be interesting. We'll see if we do get a 5th different left wing back to start the season here in 2026. But Ryan, I'm Just throwing it out there. I saw Santiago Arias. He's a free agent. I know he played more right back for us, but he won't be returning to his club. He's 33 years old. Could have a little bit of a reunion, maybe add some depth for us in the fullback, position, either on either side. Just a shout. Probably not going to happen, but it's just something to look at.
One can dream. I mean, Arias was great signing. Banged up throughout the season. That's the only thing I would say. And 33, he's tipping the side of maybe a little bit more injuries as well. But not a bad shout. I saw that recently as well. So nice potential reunion there. Probably not. So past that though, Sam, news broke this past week that Dado Valenzuela is getting interest around the MLS per Tom Bogert. So another 21-year-old player with a lot of promise, had a career year, with 5 goals. Showed up in a big way early on in the season when we had, not really an out-and-out striker to pair with Denke. We went with maybe dueling 10s at time with him and Evander. Maybe he played a little bit forward, with Denke at times as well. But he's stuck behind Evander right now, Sam. There's not enough minutes for him in our current formation. And where we have things, I don't think we'll really go to him and Evander and Denke being the solo guy. We look better with 2 strikers. But Dado's a talented player. It would be a tough one to swallow to lose this guy. But again, our roster is kind of so stuck right now to find a center back, to find a left wing back. And if the price is right around the MLS, hopefully it's not an Eastern Conference team.
Yeah, if you look at the formation, Ryan, you said, we probably won't do Denke up top with Dado and Evander, right, as dueling 10s. And then, could you see that happening? Like, the only way that could happen is would you see Giddy start in the midfield along with Buka and then have Obi be a right? Is that too bunched in the middle there, or
I think
because we could even
not as realistic.
Pull Evander right to the side, right? Like kind of how he likes to get the ball on the wing and he kind of likes to work his way in. So
you have to drop to a 4-back if you're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe if we add up the numbers correctly on that one. But that's a good point. There's ways you could try to put him into this, but nothing has shown me that Pat Noonan and company have, done that. They haven't gone out of their way to get this player on the field. But again, in the times that he's been there, he's been shown that, hey, he can kind of hang with the big dogs. There's not a lot of young players that we've been saying, hey, let's go and throw them out there and see how they do. But Dado's been one of them. And, I think, again, I mentioned this last episode, there was this big talk about how him and Evander were developing this relationship. And, hey, Dado, I'm going to kind of, foster you and create, you to be a better number 10. And then, like, all of a sudden, we just didn't hear about Dado at all. So it is disappointing, again, that this is going on. But in our current situation and what we got going for us, like, I don't know when this guy gets minutes. Now, I wrote in here, and I want to see your opinion. What about a loan for Dado, Sam? Overseas, if this player is playing, championship level for a team, what do they do if they got a young player but they can't get him on the field? They loan him away. So I don't know. It might not be a bad shout for a year. Hey, go see how this guy does. We still retain his rights, but what does that look like?
Yeah, I think it quite possibly could be the best move for him and for the club, right? So that way we're not getting rid of an asset and banking on, just getting money back or in a trade deal of some sort.
The only thing that would kind of go against that is, like, you're not reaping the GAM. That's really what we need. We need that general allocation money for other players. And if you loan him, he's a supplemental roster or homegrown spot. Like, you're not really offloading, a ton from your roster that way. But what's best for Dado and maybe potentially seeing him in the future with us, like,
So in your mind, would that loan be out to, like, the USL Championship or?
No, I think it'd be another MLS club that.
Okay. See, I didn't know as far as, like, tier wise where you would put that. I know he's got some Mexican roots as well. I believe Liga MX teams have been sniffing around Dado as well. That also could be a look.
Yeah, I think something I had heard on Soccer Wise, another great, soccer podcast, talks about the MLS is, really Dado could be a great option for teams that don't want to spend top dollar on a number 10, but could maybe develop Dado into that top player, on their own. And they're not, willing to spend like we are. But hey, they could find a, diamond in the rough kind of thing. He's still young and he's had several years with this club. I think he could develop into a great player. And I would hate to see, he goes to Colorado, RSL, Houston, and he gets, 15 goals in the season. And we're like, what are we doing? But it's just where we're at right now. And it's unfortunate. I really hope that we can retain this player just because I like Dado and I like the way he plays. But I mean, Sam, the way it is right now, where are we going to be able to play this player? That's the question. And again, the coach and the rest of the supporting staff has not found ways to get him involved, at least down the stretch. So something to keep an eye on there. The Alvaro Barreal situation, though, Sam, fill us in on what's going on with that.
Yeah, so looks like a permanent deal has kind of been talked about and confirmed. It looks like Tom Bogert had reported, based off of Laurel's report, which was actually really funny, that Santos is going to be triggering the buy option for Barreal, and we should look for maybe an announcement here in this week or next week to officially, like I said, announce that transaction. It's said to have been around $4 million purchase option. So they triggered it because he played 65% of the matches. And then Ryan, I mean, we were following it a little bit. If you were following our Twitter, that, Santos was in this relegation battle, and, an injured Neymar even helped him out to get out of the relegation battle. So obviously I think Barreal, once again, career year at Santos, really, what 9 goals, I think, maybe.
Okay, career in the sense of goals, but like he had a better overall year with us in 23.
Well, yeah, but he won something in 23. Yeah.
Well, that, and is the Brazilian league, what does that look like compared to the MLS? That's a different conversation. Something interesting, you mentioned obviously with him playing with Neymar, he did a jersey swap with Neymar after one of their last games, a player on his own team. What do you think of that?
I think that's, I mean,
I would do it with Neymar if he was on
my
team. But like, why not do it in the locker room? Like,
he's on my team.
The field before, like,
on the training ground.
Like, hey, can I get that jersey? And Neymar's like, no, I already traded with my buddy, Alvaro. Like,
it's a bit awkward. Yeah,
it is a little interesting. But a player that, like, for the past year, it's just like, oh well, he's still a part of this team, kind of. But what are we going to get for this guy? And finally, we're going to be able to use this money. What does that look like for this roster? I think, again, it will translate. Some of this conversion, $4 million, you can only get a certain amount. I think it's about $3 million roughly, of GAM from this sale that we can put towards the roster. So this will definitely help. I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure that's close to what it is in doing some research on that. But it'll help this roster in some ways. Going to miss Alvaro, again, over the past 2 seasons. Now looking at what we had with Orellano, with Lukas Engel, like, Barreal's been kind of the more natural fit for that wing back spot.
100%. Yeah.
Maybe not as much of the defensive side, but like had been the most productive player, by far. In that spot there. But yeah, wish him luck, down in Brazil. By all means, seems like he's happy there. But another
Ryan, I just want to say, I hope before we get, the deal is permanent, I think we still need Barreal to show up during training camp for one day on the beach, and then then he can go back to Brazil.
Shades of 2024 preseason Sam's referring to. Showed up for one day. Or close to it. I think it was like maybe
snapped a photo, went, oh hey, there he is.
Yeah, he was there for a period of time with Luka Orellano. That was kind of crazy. Yeah. But Laurel is also reporting, Sam, that the Brenner situation is becoming increasingly unlikely. I think we had put a lot of hope, over the past couple episodes that, hey, maybe there's a reunion with Brenner, but that means, again, that somebody's got to go. Purchase option, again, around $6.2 million would make him a DP. And it, by all means, doesn't seem like we're selling a DP right now, and we don't really have that roster flexibility. Is there some rule change coming in the MLS? Doesn't really seem like that right now. So yeah, extending a loan apparently is not an option as well. That's another question I had seen kind of floating around. That would have been awesome, just to have him on loan on a TAM deal. But yeah, not going to happen there, unfortunately. But multiple rumored Brazilian clubs interested in him. Like I believe, Sao Paulo, where he started. I'm sure there's tons of teams that are interested because, I mean, Brenner had a killer last 10 games. Again, for FC Cincinnati to kind of, revolt his career like we did the first time too. But the guy absolutely loved his time here. I really hope it isn't the end. I hope down the road maybe there's a situation he could find his way back. It just doesn't seem like now is the correct time. The fit of that, like we've talked about, is interesting. Is it better Evander with Brenner, or is it better with Evander and Denke? Like, you go round and round about that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what finally comes out of this, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be happening.
No, yeah, like you said, just the way the roster's structured, and it doesn't seem like Udinese is going to be. I mean, like you said, they've got a lot to choose from. He's got a lot of people that want him, and Udinese is probably going to sit back and feel out the offers, right? Honestly, and doesn't really care about what FC Cincinnati roster wise has to deal with. They just want to either bring the player back because he was phenomenal for us, and hopefully he can continue that with Udinese. But yeah, I think I have seen obviously more of the Brazilian clubs interested in him, but Ryan, I think the quality he showed with FC Cincinnati, he deserves to go somewhere better. And
all right.
What was it
prior to us though? Like, I think
that's what I was about to say. Prior to us, I mean, do we see him at like an Ajax, right? Or do we see like,
I mean, Serie A versus the Eredivisie and the Netherlands? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens with Brenner, but yeah, I felt like MLS is kind of his zone, his spot. Yeah. Something interesting, Sam. The free agency list, had come up. We'll touch on this in a little bit. Brenner's name is listed as a potential free agent. I think that's got to be a mistake because he was a lone player with an option. I don't think he can be listed necessarily on there because if you look at it, like we're also talking to Jabari. Engel obviously not listed. That didn't work out, but Jabari's not on there at all. So why is Brenner listed on there as an option in free agency across the MLS? I don't know. I don't really understand that.
It's either a mistake or something in the clause of their contract.
Yeah. I imagine him going to another MLS team. Nightmare. I mean, that would not be great.
No,
don't love that. But some other headlines here. Well, I guess first before we do, we'll touch on it here in a bit. But position-wise, we have some options that I think we're opening up now. We talked about Engel. We talked about maybe with Brenner leaving. So left wing back, forward. Keep that in the back of your mind as we go along here. We'll talk about some potential options. But Sam, walk us through Evander again in the MVP conversation.
Yeah, so some other headlines that came out was Evander. He came in fourth in the MLS Landon Donovan MVP voting. He received 4.78% of the total vote, and that was 2.26% of the media vote, 12% of the player vote, and actually 0% from the club vote. So that means FC Cincinnati didn't even vote for their own player, which is kind of crazy.
Is that really? I don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. 0.0, right? That would mean that no club, voted for him. So,
wow.
Last season compared to this season,
can we vote for our own player though?
What's that?
I don't know. Can we vote for our own player? I have no idea.
I don't know. It was more of a funny thing rather than more a realistic thing. So, if somebody wants to look that up, feel free. But Ryan Evander last season with Portland, he actually came in third in voting last year. And was more favorable with the clubs. He had, about 9.24%. So he had a better overall voting percentage last year than he did this year. And once again, Messi kind of walked away with the award with honestly only 70% of the vote, which I think surprised a lot of people. Evander receiving 12% of the player vote, I thought was second most out of all the players. So obviously player wise, they have a lot of respect for Evander.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think everyone sees that. And, for 3/4 of the season, he was, neck and neck, I would say with Andres Dreyer was there. The Bouanga thing is like ridiculous. He was the other guy that was, ahead of him, but it was a 3-man race for a while between Dreyer, Messi, and Evander. And, for him to drop off at the end of the season is kind of what tanked his chances for being, top 2. But that's all right. He's in the conversation. We've had players in the conversation each of the last 3 seasons with Lucho and him for MVP. And I mean, what other, Cincinnati franchise has had that, Sam? Not many. So happy about that. But again, can he take that next step too? We need to rely upon more than just our heroes, the hero ball that we've been talking about. But another interesting one that we saw over the past week. So FC Cincinnati and I believe, was it Matt Doyle had put out a way too early 2026 MLS Cup contenders. This is just hilarious. This should just be like funny time. We landed at 4th, most likely to, win MLS Cup. Dude, it's so early. We don't even know who's on this team. I don't even know by May. Like everyone always talks about how are we feeling, but like, look at this past season. It's like 8 months long. There's no way. It's all for clicks. Like clearly.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Ryan, you see college basketball, you see like college football do that, right? Like you'll see that here with college football in the next, month or so after everything happens. You'll get the way too earlys, right?
Right.
So I think, like you said, it's more just clickbait rather than actual in-depth, because you don't know what the rosters look like. So how are you going to rank it? And it was exactly how the season ended pretty much, right? So Miami was 1st, Vancouver was 2nd, LAFC was 3rd, we were 4th, and Seattle was 5th, which was kind of surprising, not going to lie. But I mean, it was exactly how like the year ended. So
I'm not going to treat power rankings to any value, like nothing, like who cares? Like it's kind of ridiculous. We're also not apparently allowed to compete in the 2026 US Open Cup. So the oldest, soccer tournament in the country, FC Cincinnati, is not even able to participate because we are in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. It's kind of ridiculous. We've talked about this before. Like we should have the availability to play in this tournament because we are in America and it should be for every club. But because we have Leagues Cup and Champions Cup and World Cup, like there's just no time, for us to compete, I guess. Last year, I think we had the 2 team that
the 2 team was in there. Yeah.
Even allowing them to go and do it. It's just funny to me. Like I'm going to throw shade on Nashville, but Nashville's saying, oh, like we won our first trophy. It's like, well, only 12 teams from the MLS even competed in it. So this is even less valuation to this tournament. And it all comes down to the fact that the MLS and the U.S. Soccer Federation are going to war about, who should be involved. And U.S. Open Cup is directed by the U.S. Soccer Federation. And MLS says, well, we want the clicks. And so Leagues Cup is a thing. It's ridiculous. Like, just come to an agreement. This is what's best for the country. Like, look over in England what works with the FA Cup. It's just, I don't understand it. I hope that maybe 2027 is the resolution. We can just get rid of Leagues Cup and just say everyone is again allowed to play in US Open Cup.
Ideally that would be great. Unfortunately, money will still loom over it all. And that's what's going to talk the loudest. And so, I do think it's a little interesting that, if you are in the Champions Cup, then you are absolutely excluded from the US Open Cup. You can't touch it. So I don't know.
Don't get me wrong. I'd love like that we're in this competition. We're going to talk about it now. Like for those who aren't familiar, CONCACAF Champions Cup is basically the Champions League of, North America and part of Central America. Like this is the big thing to be in. Because if you win this, you get qualified for Club World Cup, which we just hosted in America this past summer. It's a big deal. We play the best teams from this region. I would love to say like that's way more important than US Open Cup, but like it's also important to show that like every single club in this country is important and that every single one should have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that we're completely excluded is ridiculous. But Sam, why don't you show the graphic? We did have the draw for this CONCACAF Champions Cup last night. For those who watched, it was very corny and it was about like 25 minutes of just people mispronouncing names of teams.
Ryan, I know we're going to touch on it here in the second half, but these draws, right? Whether it be the World Cup or the CONCACAF, like these draw shows, I'm done with them. I'm done with them after this past week with 2 of them. I'm already done, right? I don't need them anymore. I don't need people making stupid jokes about like what they're wearing and who they are. Like, I don't know how many times like Alexi Lawless made a joke about Brad Guzan's giant head, or like, what are we doing? Just tell me who we're going to play and that'd be it.
So in the same situation, Sam, let's tell the people, FC Cincinnati is going to be playing O&M FC of the Liga Dominicana de Football. So of the Dominican League. They qualified via the 2025 Caribbean Cup. They were the runner-up, actually. They didn't even win it. They are the worst-ranked team of any potential team that would be in this tournament, so it was a favorable draw for us. Currently, they're in 8th of their league out of 10 teams. Their first time qualifying for this tournament. Kind of cool here, and looking at this. They play in a 27,000-seat Felix Sanchez Olympic Stadium, and Santo Domingo, I believe, in the Dominican. So Sam's got the graphic up for you guys to see here. February, it's going to come around the corner here, and everyone should travel down to the Dominican. It'll be beautiful down there at the time. But Sam, with this away match that we're going to have here first, another different country for us to visit.
Yeah, real quick, if anybody's wondering what the O and the M stand for, they actually stand for Organization and Method College. So that is what it stands for there. But yeah, February is going to come real quick, Ryan. I think this tournament's going to sneak up on us.
It always does.
Playing in a 27,000 seat stadium should kind of feel similar. We'll see how packed it is. I would imagine maybe there's a decent amount. Considering the Dominican, right? I don't know. They love their soccer down there, and I don't know how often they fill it up, but obviously FC Cincinnati is going to be playing a new squad from a new country. It was, the 4th time, so that we're playing a different country. So I think somebody made the comment every year. And I do agree with this. Every year, it's kind of a wait and see where we go and where we play, because we want to see where our guys are going on vacation.
Yeah. No, for real. Especially in February. It's brutal in Cincinnati.
Yeah, well, we get to sit there, be jealous, and then they get to go play in Minnesota.
About every year, Sam, I am down in Mexico. My wife has a company trip, so I'm always tempted every single year to go and jump to Honduras, to Jamaica, Mexico. Now,
wherever FC is,
I'm already down there. I might as well, make it to the match. But so like we're saying, Dominican this year, it was Honduras last year, Jamaica the year before. And then if FC Cincinnati advances, and if Tigres advances, we will have a rematch. So they play Forge FC, a Canadian team, I believe.
Yep.
Advancing would mean that FC would travel down to Monterrey, Mexico once again and play Tigres. As much as I love being able to go to the Dominican, I feel like we need to sprinkle around a little bit more variety here. Playing the same exact team 2 years in a row. Tigres was a good matchup for us, though. I think we played them pretty level at home, and then we went down there. We were up actually at a time, and then we just ran out of steam. So looking for another matchup with them. Every year we talk about, is this team going to go further? What's the goal? And it really just comes down to, is this roster, is the starting 11 going to be ready? Last year, we were not ready.
Not only is it ready, but is it built to last?
Well, correct. And how does it compare to, the Mexican teams that are in the middle of their season? We're going to talk about this, until the schedule has changed. So round 1, February 3rd through the 5th, February 10th through the 12th is the other option. And then I think, last year we were around the February 19th-ish. And then we have round of 16. That'll be in March, quarterfinals in April, semifinals April through a little bit of May, and then the final would be May 30th. For that, kind of note here, from the draw, Nashville and I believe Inter Miami will potentially meet again for the 8th time in a row. And then another interesting point here, I don't know if you saw this, Sam, as well. other side of the bracket, Toluca is over there, I believe. Costa Rican team is on that side as well. Mount Pleasant, another team that had a bye I've never even heard of. So some interesting ones. If we advance and, hypothetically, if we go past Tigres, we could be playing potentially Vancouver or I believe Seattle as well. So that would be kind of cool, to see that, because we don't hardly ever get to play those teams in meaningful competition. I think Seattle is the only team to ever from the MLS win this tournament. So that would be pretty special to see.
Yeah, I think, obviously there's a lot of things up in the air as far as who we play. Tigres, obviously, second year in a row would kind of be unfortunate because they're a good team.
Solid.
They're a solid team, and it's the burnout effect, right? Whether or not we can, just last just a little bit longer than they can and move on to the next round to face, an MLS club, hopefully. But yeah, Ryan, as we move forward, also free agency window just opened today, Wednesday at 1 p.m. So that means if you're 24 years old and have at least 4 years of MLS service, you are available. Those out of contract that be you're not just available, but it is pretty interesting to see the players on the list, right? As far as big names like Benteke, Espinoza, marquee players, right? I think they were DPs for their teams, right? Correct?
Yeah. No, it's crazy that they just got let go, and you can go and find where you want to play. Yeah. For me, Sam, like a crazy amount of starting goalkeepers in there. Carlos Coronel, for the Red Bulls was in there. Galese was in there as well. Dane St. Clair, the reigning MLS keeper of the year.
They're negotiating.
But still listed, so there's a ton of options. Obviously we don't need a goalkeeper, but just something interesting. Guys that stand out, I touched a little bit on this last time if you guys missed it, but Paul Rothrock of Seattle. That was a mouthful there. More of a winger, but could be a wing back for us. That'd be a cool name. One can dream about Christian Espinoza. I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be cool as well. But yeah, there's some sleepers in there that I think we could take some flyers on, especially in defense. If we want to say maybe Walker Zimmerman, do we want to look at what he could do for us? Another guy, I believe, from St. Louis, Keller, I believe was his last name, not Kip Keller, but I believe that's what his last name is. But yeah, there's several options on there. Some pretty big names, like Sam mentioned, in the likes of Benteke, too. So interesting to see. We didn't get really any information today. There's not any real solid people. I'm sure now that this period is open, teams are calling around. Everyone who's around downtown and in TQL, be on the lookout for the lights. Let's see what sort of display FC Cincinnati has for, maybe a free agent. Justin Hack, Sam, would be my big guy that I would look for, on those bright lights at TQL. Former center back, with NYCFC. He'd be a nice, person for us in the back line. He'd be an instant starter. So something to hopefully look forward to. That would be pretty cool if that was the case. Thursday, the re-entry draft will start. So players that will be put back into that and potentially be able to be selected by an MLS squad.
Also, you get the under 22 guys as well. Now will be in that as well. Those under 22 players that either their contract was declined or they ran out of options. Those players will then enter that re-entry draft, and you'll be able to select from those players as well.
There's a lot going on. I mean, it's constantly evolving week to week. You'll find news out about this team, so it keeps you drawn in just enough in the offseason. But we'll go to a quick break here, and we'll be right back with you guys. Hey, everyone. The Flying Lion podcast is your home for FC Cincinnati coverage as a part of the Chatterbox Sports family. We're proud to be a part of a growing network of creators who are building real connections with fans across the region as the game continues to grow and in preparation for the 2026 FIFA World Cup hosted in America.
Yeah, and if you're a local business or a brand looking to reach an audience that's passionate, loyal, and plugged into the city's sports scene, this is the place.
Partnering with us is not just supporting a podcast. You're joining a community that celebrates FC Cincinnati and various other Cincinnati sports teams as well. So reach out through our email, which is Flyin' Lion Pod, FLYIN Lion Pod @gmail.com, or direct message us on social media to learn more about sponsorship and partnering options. Thanks again. Thanks again for joining us tonight. I'm rocking my USA hat here if you guys are watching. I'm ready to talk a little bit about the U.S. men's national team World Cup draw, Sam. 2026 is right around the corner, and the world's biggest soccer tournament, maybe the biggest event of all sports, is coming here very shortly. And we had that draw on Friday. Interesting to see where everyone's playing and who we're playing. But the draw is going to start the tournament, I guess I should say, June 11th. Across 16 different host cities in the U.S., Canada, Mexico. The first match is going to be held down in Mexico City at the Azteca. Sam, you want to walk us through a little bit of what you saw with this draw here?
Yeah, once again, like I had said on the first half, this draw was just as boring as the CONCACAF one, just with slightly bigger stars. You had the likes of Tom Brady, Shaquille O'Neal, Aaron Judge, and Wayne Gretzky as your drawers for the different groups and different clubs. And then, I mean, Ryan, this is, we expanded the World Cup again, and now we'll feature 48 teams with 12 groups of 4 teams. So looking at the board here.
Can I put a gripe in real quick before you go through the breakdown of groups? You had all these guys from the U.S., like in different sports, that did the draw.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
and then you had Rio Ferdinand, who's from England, pick, and actually say, oh, these are the teams that are playing. Like, he's not even from the U.S. Like, have a U.S. guy do that.
Yeah.
I didn't understand why Rio Ferdinand was doing that. But anyway.
I think Landon Donovan, Clint Dempsey, Josie
any of those guys. Yeah. So group-wise, I think you're about to break it down.
I'll break it down. Yeah. So as we're looking at stuff here, I'm not going to go through every group, but it looks pretty favorable for the United States. They are in Group D, and so they will be playing the likes of Paraguay, Australia, and then they will be playing the also winner of the playoff C, which is the winner of Turkey, Romania, Slovakia, and Kosovo. So
Kosovo.
Huh? Kosovo. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Well.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with Sam. Favorable for all the teams that we could have possibly played. Like Paraguay, we just beat 2-1. I believe Australia, we just beat over the past couple weeks as well. Turkey A, we did lose to them early on in the season. They're probably the most likely to come out of the European playoff there. But overall, Sam, I mean, we got to be pretty pumped about this. Now the guys got to go out and play.
Yeah, I mean, I think, with a favorable draw, you have less excuses and more pressure, right? I think that's what Poch had been saying was, we can't just let this, be something that we take for granted, right? No, we got to go out there. We got to, keep the foot on the pedal and keep going. But Ryan, the group stage schedule, how it looks for the United States men's national team. They will play Paraguay in Los Angeles for their opening match on June 12th. And then they will play Australia in Seattle on June 19th. And then whoever comes out of that playoff C, they will play in Los Angeles again on June 25th. So that's kind of how it's going to shape up for them for the first part of that group stage.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. At first, I'm looking at, why are they all on the West Coast? Like, why are they, for the U.S. at least, all going to be, LA, Seattle, even if we advance, I believe, over there as well. But it comes down to, I believe, for the team not wanting to have to travel so much, between matches, stay in the same time zone. Like, that makes a lot of sense. But from a fan standpoint, like, I want to be able to go to these matches and see the U.S. play. It's thousands of dollars right now. If you didn't get into the draw early on, like, I think you can go and look at resale, $2,000 maybe for a group stage game, against Paraguay. And it's crazy, man. So try to go out and find, the best ticket you can, for these. Maybe it is a lower end interest game that you can get. Closest one, for those watching in Cincinnati is going to be in Philly and in Kansas City. But past that, man, it'll be really interesting, because if you look at, like Sam said, the fact that the actual tournament is expanded by teams, there's an extra round in the knockout rounds. So if we kind of break it down, and based on if we advance, we would play, I believe, a third place team if we are the top team out of another group, which I think could be the likes of like Egypt, Iran, potentially. Like there's different options like that, but I think that's kind of what people are looking at. And then it would be potentially Belgium, who would line up in the round of 16. And what a matchup again that would be. I think we played them when Tim Howard had like 14 saves in a single game against them.
Was that 2014 or 2010?
2014, I believe.
Yeah.
That we played them. But expectations here, Sam. I know you listed it in our agenda or outline. What do you think now that we've talked about the groups and potentially who we could line up with?
Yeah, I think, when you talk about the expectation based off of this U.S. men's national team draw, I think you got to go quarterfinals, considering the path that they can take to get there, and the quality that they've been playing with. I mean, the squad has been playing pretty well. I know it's December, right, as we're talking about this, but it gives me some hope and some promise that this squad is finally coming together, and Poch is kind of getting the guys that he wants, and hopefully with this favorable draw, we're able to take advantage, and hopefully this creates confidence going into the later stages.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so I think a quarterfinal run for this team is definitely an option. If we can get past Belgium, I think we're looking at potentially the likes of Spain, then Argentina. So that would be really tough. But yeah, I think you're exactly right, Sam. The team is gelling right now. He had Poch, the head coach of the U.S. team, had a interview after the draw and said, hey, these are the players that we have been looking at, but I'm going to pick the guys that are the right fit for a team, not necessarily the best players. And I love that from our coach. Like, I'm rather the guy that, comes in and works his butt off and makes the team that way than just on talent and can kind of lazily, make the squad and maybe doesn't have as much to play for. So I love to hear that from him. And I feel like, at least in the last several results, even with, maybe lesser players on our side, talent-wise on the field, we've been putting in the results. So I think these guys can really play together in front of a home crowd, hopefully over on the West Coast for our group games, and really go at a run there. Special things happen in World Cups, and we'll keep you guys in tune with what's going on. I think we do have some friendlies going on that they announced, in the spring. But as the World Cup comes around, we'll be doing a ton of coverage, I'm sure with our partnership with Goals TV as well. So we're excited about that. But Sam, roll us into some FC Cincinnati 2 roster decisions.
Yeah, so we've got some stuff going on. The FCC2 roster decisions were actually, announced after the FC Cincinnati roster, which was a little interesting considering their season ended earlier. And they came out and wow, was not really expecting this. They announced that just 5 players would be returning for 2026 as of right now. So that means 5 players are on the current FCC2 roster. And Boma Dem was promoted to the first team. Then you had Andres Davia, who was named to the Guardian's Next Generation 2024 list of top global talents. His departure was kind of a surprise. And then you've got another.
He was apparently on loan, by the way.
Yes, currently on loan, which nobody really knew that.
Yeah.
It was like a loan with an option to buy, but then there wasn't anything there. So I don't know. The other notable departures, Ben Augie, he was a 2025 MLS Super Draft pick, so that'll be coming up soon as well, like we mentioned last episode. No Adnan. Ryan played in the CONCACAF Champions Cup with FC Cincinnati earlier in the year, and he's not even going to be in the 2 squad. So, and then another guy who got Champions Cup minutes was Amir Dali, showed a little bit of promise, and then was loaned out to the Birmingham Legion. And then Peter Mangione, also a consistent kind of midfielder. Those are the notable departures. Ryan, do you want to touch on those? You want me to touch on?
Yeah, real quickly, like Sam said, kind of
Yeah.
odd to see, again, second year in a row, so many players leaving. Even after last year, they were first in their conference and had a ton of people that left. This year, like Sam mentioned, we get the roster announcements and then we get some information about the head coaching. So, like, why are we making these decisions maybe before the coach is even gone? Maybe they had that in mind, ahead of time and we didn't know. It is interesting, though. There's some good talent there that is leaving. It's honestly a little bit of a surprise for several of these players, considering some of the first team minutes, number one. But secondly, like I've been hearing, at least in looking at Carter's posts and things like that, a lot of these guys have been practicing with the first team. So they were on the radar, not Adnan, Dali, Mangione, all those guys had been training with the first team. So are we not even like considering them now? Like it even furthermore kind of points to the fact that like, hey, we have our guys that they think can make it. And if you're not on that radar, like you're gone. So the returnees, Sam, Andre Shirilla, like another guy practicing with the first team, potentially could get a first team contract, coming up, honestly. Brian Schaefer, one of our draft picks from a few years ago, and Yari Ramos, who was a Venezuelan U20 call-up this past season. Those are really, the notable ones that we have coming back. It's fascinating, man. Like, there's hardly anyone on this squad once again. But if you look at the caveat that we have one of the best academies now, we're going to be bringing through some solid players, I think, from the U17s and the U19s.
Yeah, we'll touch on that here soon. Yeah.
So, Sam, I had mentioned the head coach is gone now, though. Tyrone Marshall, he departs from FC Cincinnati after 4 years. He was the interim coach for us at one point as well for the first team. He, by all means, had a pretty good stretch. There's been some talk about how good he wasn't, or how he was not good, I should say. But he was the 2024 MLS Next Pro Coach of the Year. The previous year, he led this team to a playoff after they were dead last with a whole new roster. I don't know how you can say he was bad. He did probably pretty well with what he had. And getting like Next Pro Coach of the Year is no, small thing. So, it is a little bit of a surprise. But I think they are looking to kind of clean house and kind of revamp, a little bit of the Next Pro system. I touched on previous results from the past few seasons. They still made the playoffs. They still were first in the East the year before that. Had some solid talent come through with Stefan Shirilla, Steven Jimenez, Dado's played on that team, Paul Walters as well. So who's the coach then? And I think we have kind of two opinions on this. So let's hear yours first.
Well, so first of all, on Tyrone Marshall, I mean, this guy, I don't know. I kind of feel for him because he was here to help launch FCC2, and the first, I think, 2 years, it was a little bit of a struggle, but you saw last year, right? Like you said, Coach of the Year. And then this year, he had a lot more new pieces, but you saw the fight at the end of the season that this squad had to come back to make the playoffs. I mean, and they put up a fight in that first round match, only losing 2-1. And so, it's tough. Obviously, we're not inside the organization, so we don't really see what's going on, how the logistics work, if somebody's better fit, and that better fit, Ryan, I've seen some people throw out the name in Alec Khan. Now that he's retired, he was going back to get his coaching license, maybe expediting that coaching license, trying to get it as quickly as possible. Would he be a good shout for the next guy? I don't see why not. Maybe not right away. Maybe you find somebody as kind of a transition coach, right? But I mean, I see a future, whether it be a goalkeeper coach or something else like that. I think possibly.
Oh, he'll be involved.
Yeah.
I think goalkeeper coach is a great shout. I think he'll start there, and he might even honestly take over the role that our friend Bobby Edwards had.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. But my shout is Jeff Lorenowitz. He is the director of player pathway for FC Cincinnati right now. Former U17, U19 coach, I believe. MLS legend, played for the U.S. men's national team, two-time MLS champ, one with Galaxy, I believe.
Atlanta,
and one with,
the second one?
Atlanta was the other one. So I really could see Laurenowitz coming through. He's well known throughout the MLS. He's been able to bring some solid players, through the academies now. And I think having him kind of step into that would be a nice transition for those guys from 17s, 19s to be coached by the same player. And they seem to really like the relation with him and maybe with some of the current coaches we have as well. So I could see that being the next step for him. He's going to, at some point, I think, find an MLS job, Sam. I think pretty highly of this guy.
Yeah. I mean, that feels like a clear, like, you want somebody on the inside that would be like a good answer. But it depends, what we're looking as far as developmental wise, what Chris Albright kind of wants for that lower teams.
I was going to say, look at Michael Bradley, Sam. He was the next pro coach, for Red Bull, and they just won the next pro championship. He's being looked at as the next New York Red Bull manager. So I think this is a nice launching point for some of these guys to get their coaching experience and bring guys through. I mean, Michael Bradley was a men's national team legend, captain, great, coach on the field, but off the coach, apparently he's showing some promise there too. I think Laurenowitz could be, a nice name for that. So we'll see what happens. I'm a little biased, obviously, as you can tell there, but we'll see. But Sam, rolling on, I think our last big piece of news here, and we'll close it down, but MLS Next Pro, or MLS Next Fest, I should say. The MLS academies are all competing in this. So FC Cincinnati is competing, or was competing, down in Mesa, Arizona. I believe it already had gone through the 4th through the 15th, I guess, is still running through, but we've had some results already. So if you want to roll us through how these teams did.
Yeah. So, I mean, the reason we're touching on this is it's the largest youth soccer scouting and talent identification event in the U.S., right? So if our kids, like Ryan said, want to, show growth to outsiders or to even, people within the club itself, this is kind of the place to do it. And so FC Cincinnati, we fielded 3 age groups. Our U15 squad was playing in the U16s, U16s, U17s, and then U18s, U19s, right? So they were playing in a step above their age group, which is, I mean, pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But the U18s played first this past week, and they played Austin FC. They drew that game 2-2. Then they played NYCFC, got smacked 5-1 in a loss, and then they ended it with a 5-2 win against FC Dallas. So good to see kind of a mix there. And then you saw the exact same out of the U16 squad, Ryan, when they played Nashville. They lost 2-1, and then they beat LAFC 1-0, and then drew against RSL 0-0. So the U15s just played today as we're recording on the 10th. They beat FC Dallas 5-0.
Wow. So
pretty solid win. They'll play San Jose tomorrow or Thursday today, whenever you're listening to this. And then they'll play Austin FC to kind of cap off the MLS Next Fest.
Some good results for the boys. Yeah, I love to see that. FC Dallas is by all means a great academy. So getting good results shows that we have a solid academy program running. One of those guys, Sam, I want to put a shout in is Ademir Chavez. We've talked about this guy before. He's played some Next Pro minutes by the end of the season. Laurel had even, famously put out a tweet that said she wouldn't be surprised if he's the next first team contract that we hear about, from these guys. This kid's a stud. He's primarily, I think, left-footed. He can play on both wings. He could play center mid. I think it'd be really cool to see him kind of come through and maybe even be a backup like left wing back or right wing back, and to really let him go at, defenders. He's a really good dribbler. He's very solid in the attacking front. So he's 16 years old and he's got a lot of promise. He had, I think we talked about it before, trained with a team in Portugal. Benfica, I believe.
Yeah, and he just got done with the Mexican team as well.
Yeah. One of the youth Mexican teams scored, I believe, a goal or two for them as well. So a player to keep your eye on, out of the academy. And again, why does this matter? Because we got a solid youth program that we're building. Now let's see if we can utilize it. Obviously, we've talked about this before. We haven't been the best about utilizing these young players, but I think we're going to be forcing our hand a little bit here because we got some really good talent coming through. But Sam, anything you want to say to close out this episode?
No, I'm with you. We deserve some news here in the next couple weeks. Hopefully we're able to give you guys. I know I thought it was a good episode so far. Obviously we're getting news right how it comes to us.
Sure.
But like Ryan said, whenever we get stuff, that's kind of we'll gauge whether or not we'll have an episode or it's worth an episode. But yeah, I mean, we need something. Chris is cooking right now, and you let him cook, but I'd like to hear some rumblings. Give me some rumors.
Yeah, I agree because we kind of peeked at it a little bit earlier on in the episode. It seems now with the departure of Engel, Sam, if Orellano stays, maybe you could say he's your plug-in left wing back. But your needs right now, if we talk about, hey, free agency's open, we're going to start hearing more, news kind of pop through. Forward, starting center back, left wing back. I think we could both agree on, those being the positions of need right now. Inside the league, outside the league, kind of yet to be seen. We did have some movement last year from free agency when we signed Brian Anunga. So you could kind of see how a veteran might come in and plug and play there.
Yeah. And you see the likes of, even later in the season, right. With Brad Smith, Kai Kamara, guys that you kind of you find as the season goes along.
Sure. Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on that, but I think that's where you're looking at positions of need. And then depending on who stays still too, there's a lot of things up in the air with that. Dado potentially leaving.
Could be traded.
Maybe look out for, that as well. And we'll see what that looks like for this roster as we build for it. There's a lot of fun stuff coming up though, like we touched on, but hope you guys enjoyed this episode and we'll see you next time.